I just moved back to the United States after living in China for 20 years. I had a really widely varied career. I did all sorts of things. I worked as a journalist. I worked as a rock musician. I worked for big internet companies. But the one thing that I realized along the way is that it's really important as young people that you develop a sense of mission in life. You need to sort of know what your real purpose is. Some of it might be, religious or faith-based for some of you. It might be, a really strong personal sense of mission, like you want to eradicate poverty, or you want. So for me, obviously it was this whole bridge building thing, and I realized early on that when I am on mission, when the job that I'm doing in my everyday life is actually helping to build bridges of understanding, I feel really good about what I'm doing. And those few times in my life where I felt like I'm not on mission, where, for example, I was working for an advertising agency, selling deodorant or whatever to people, and I didn't feel like I was on mission, and I was profoundly unhappy in that job. So figure out what you want to do, figure out what that overarching mission is, and then the rest sort of falls into place kind of magically. I came back after 20 years in China, and people often ask me why we bothered to move back. The reason really is not because of China's pollution, or not because of political repression, as a lot of people assume that it might be. In fact, the reason that I decided to come back to the United States was because of something my wife said to me. We had children, and they were young, they were in grade school, and we'd always talked about, at some point maybe we should move back to the States. But she looked at me one day and she said, "Now, Kaiser, you are not particularly smart. You're not particularly hardworking. You've gotten what you have in life primarily because of the accident of being bicultural, because you can sort of work and communicate relatively effortlessly with people in these two worlds, in the United States and in China." And she said, the very least thing that we can do for our children so that they'll have good prospects for employment and happy lives ahead of them is to give them the gift of biculturalism. And she was absolutely right. So when my daughter, who is now in 8th grade, when she finished 6th grade, we moved back to the US. And it's been really, really interesting to see them develop as truly bicultural people who can just sort of switch effortlessly inside of a sentence even. They'll say things like that blend English and Chinese, like asking me, "Are you ticklish?" Instead, they'll kind of use Chinese and say, "Ni tibu ticklish." Some of you get that, right? It's Chinese constructions with English words. So we have our own sort of bizarre language that we use inside the family. Chinglish. I'm sure a lot of you are fluent Chinglish speakers already. Anyway, I know that I am all that stands between you guys and a delicious Chinese buffet lunch. So I want to thank Patty and the Confucius Institute here at Webster University, as well as Washington University in St. Louis, for inviting me out here to talk to you. I want to leave you with just that one inspiring message. Just go out there and build those bridges. It's not easy. Often when you are on an island in a river between two banks, when people from one side of that island look at you, they think you belong to the other side. It's always going to be that way. It's not always easy, but it is incredibly rewarding, and it is so vital to this planet, to our respective societies. I think that what you are all doing here gives me tremendous hope, and I want to wish you all a very, very, very happy Year of the Dog, and thank you again for your marvelous performances. Thank you.